Mario Kart tracks, you can expect some crazy things to come across like lava, airships, dolphins, and even dragons. Let's just say if you tried to drive on these courses in real life, you would probably be guided to immediate death. So in today's video, I'm going to be ranking Mario Kart 8 courses based on how dangerous they are. We have literally impossible to survive on. You may survive for like a minute or two, maybe, but not entirely sure. Okay, you may have a kind of big chance of surviving, and literally impossible to die. I'm not doing any retro courses since those obviously aren't Mario Kart 8 courses. And I'm not doing the new courses that came in from the Booster Course Pass since all the courses haven't been released yet. So in total, there are 25 courses to get through. So let's jump into it. Mario Kart Stadium is the starter course in Mario Kart 8. So there's not a lot of challenges and obstacles to get through. When first released on the Wii U in 2014, it was the course that had you get used to everything, especially getting used to the new anti-gravity section. And speaking of that, the anti-gravity section really affected the outcome of where I placed this on the tier list. And I know you're like, isn't there an anti-gravity section in every Mario Kart 8 course? Yeah, but some aren't as extreme as this one. Well, I guess there is one that flips you all the way over, but anyway, this section where it basically turns halfway over and it leads to a big gap could be just a tiny bit dangerous, don't you think? When flying cars get made, I'll place it lower, but for now, it's going in the you may survive for like a minute or two. Because you will survive for about a minute until you get to the anti-gravity section. So I mean that literally and physically. When you think of a water park, you probably start thinking about water slides, wave pools, and just fun, right? Well, that's what the course is in Mario Kart. Just fun. Not unless you want to be underwater for half the course. Half of the water park course just have you drive underwater. Now in real life, our cars will literally just stop working. And unless you guys know how to swim, I don't think there's a chance of us surviving. And also for being a water park, there's no lifeguards on duty, so that's kind of dangerous in itself, don't you think? And it's not even for a minute or two that you're underwater. No, it only takes seconds for us to get underwater. Yes, I know there's a part of course that lets you breathe, but that's only for a couple of seconds as you'll go back underwater for almost the remainder of the lap. So I have to put it in literally impossible to survive on because you won't even survive for more than 30 seconds unless you know how to swim. The name Sweet Sweet Canyon may sound like a family-friendly cupcakes, cookies, candy fun, right? Well, sorry to rain on your parade, but this course is actually dangerous. First off, it seems so sweet and innocent. You see all the candy and sweets and the music is just so sweet and fun. Then all of a sudden you get shot out of a giant cannon. Now I don't know about you, but if you're not a professional, that seems pretty dangerous. And then not only do you get shot out of the cannon, but a few seconds later you go into the underwater section. And can I even call it an underwater section as it's really some type of juice? Even though it's for a couple of seconds, being underwater and combined with it being sugar, that's a little health concerning, isn't it? But other than those things, the course isn't that bad. You can survive the underwater section, especially if you know how to swim, but I'm a little curious about the cannon. So I think it belongs in maybe, but not entirely sure. Thwomp Ruins. The name itself sounds dangerous and scary, but I can say that it's not all that dangerous. The course is actually pretty nice, but with the Thwomps trying to kill you and the giant whirling wheel that spawns in at lap 3 is pretty dangerous. Though both are possible to avoid, it's going to absolutely hurt or even kill you in real life. I'm not really sure about this one, and there is an underwater section that you can avoid, but that'll lead you to go to the Thwomps. And in real life, we can't drive on walls unless you go pretty fast to avoid the Thwomps, but it could be a 50-50 chance that you get squished. Overall, I'm not sure about this one either. While the obstacles are avoidable, it is still pretty dangerous. So I'm gonna put it in maybe, but not entirely sure. Now let's move on to the Flower Cup with Mario Circuit. While it may seem innocent at first and a pretty safe track, there's the anti-gravity section where it literally flips you all the way around. There's no debate that we can survive this track. Gravity in real life is not by our side on this one. And it's only for a couple of seconds before it flips, so I'm going to have to put it in literally impossible to survive on. Which really sucks because this is a pretty nice and chill course. Wait a second, what's this down here? Follow Nario on YT on Twitter? Maybe you should go do that. Toad Harbor takes place in a small little town. This course is actually our first safe course. With the anti-gravity section being on the wall in this course, that means we can avoid it and go on with our day. I would say the only dangerous part about it is the cable cars that come through. You can get seriously hurt by them, but they go so slow that you can speed up and avoid it. It's like you're actually driving through a town. So I say this course belongs in, okay, you may have a kind of big chance of surviving. A scary haunted house with ghosts and moving stuff may sound unsafe, right? Well, it actually is kind of safe, is what I would say if this long underwater section didn't exist. Yep, the unsafe part isn't the ghosts, the moving floors, it's the water. And in fact, the combination of the ghosts, moving floors, and the underwater section, I would say this course has to go in literally impossible to survive on. Yeah, no. With all the gaps and driving on the waterfall cannot be physically done. Could you imagine touring Niagara Falls and a car just zooms by on the waterfall? So yeah, this is gonna have to go in literally impossible to survive on. Now it's time for the Star Cup with Sunshine Airport. People are already afraid of flying. So imagine a person who's about to get on their flight, heart beating like crazy because of their fears, and they see cars racing down the hallway and the runways. Anyways, I will say this course is pretty dangerous. First off, I'm pretty sure that you can't drive your car on a plane runway, and last time I checked, you can't drive under a plane, and plus this place has a giant gap where the plane takes off. Also, last time I checked, our cars don't have lighters, so I have to put it in literally impossible to survive on. As for the beginning, there is a 90% chance that we will crash our cars if we try to race inside an airport and on a runway. But it's a really fun course, by the way, one of my Mario Kart favorites. Okay, so automatic no. First of all, almost all of the course takes place underwater, and we even start underwater. And a combination of dolphins and fish and jellyfish in a way, and also we drive on an eel, which last time I checked, eels can be incredibly dangerous. So yeah, it's going in literally impossible to survive on. This stage is set in a nightclub, and I don't know how dangerous nightclubs can be because I've never set foot in a nightclub because I'm still in high school, but I heard it can get pretty dangerous. And of course the Mario Kart course is no different. First of all, we start off with a big gap and have a pool beneath us. Why does a nightclub have pools in it? I don't know. And the anti-gravity section has us turn all the way over, and it has a giant gap near the end. So this is going to have to go into literally impossible to survive on. First off, let me just say, literally one of my favorite Mario Kart courses of all time. I mean, we start off on a plane and then jump onto snow and drive on ice and then a big cave, and next thing you know, we're in the snowboarding section. They definitely did their thing with this one. And with all that being said, this course is definitely dangerous. Not to mention, unless you layer up on clothes, you're going to be pretty cold. And jumping out of a plane in our cars into snow, do I really need to explain what will happen? And plus, driving on ice is pretty dangerous, and we can't drive on water, and I'm pretty sure that water is freezing cold. And driving in the forest with a bunch of trees in the way can also lead to a giant crash. So this is going to have to go into literally impossible to survive on. But I wasn't exaggerating, this course is really one of my favorites, and it's always a joy to play on. It always reminds me of Mario Kart Wii's DK Summit, especially the bumpy snow part. And now onto the Special Cup with Cloud Top Cruise. In the Mario universe, anything is possible, and that includes driving on clouds. I've always appreciated that, and the Mario universe always made my childhood imagination come true. With that being said, this course is an automatic no. No human can stand on a cloud. So if a cloud can't hold up a human, could you imagine it holding up an average male in his 3,000 pound 2023 Ford Maverick? So this is going into literally impossible to survive on. Taking place in the desert is already dangerous enough, especially when deserts can get up to 130 degrees. And plus, driving on sand could be dangerous because we will end up getting stuck. And even though we don't start on sand, the heat can get pretty tough on us. Even with all this, I'm not sure about this course. People can survive 3 days without water or anything in the desert, so unless you brought some water with you, you will only have 3 days to survive. So this is going into maybe, but not entirely sure. We all should know that Bowser's castles in Mario games are always dangerous, and this course is no different. I mean, do you really think you can survive lasers, fire bars, a spiky ball, and a giant Bowser that punches the floor making waves? Yeah, no. And with all the lava and fire involved, who knows how hot this place can get. So this is going into literally impossible to survive on. We all should know that if we are in space without a helmet, we'll all die. So as much fun as this course is so dangerous, especially with all the gaps and no railings. While it's a visually stunning course, this is going to have to go into literally impossible to survive on, which sucks because this is one of my favorite courses in the game other than Mount Wario. Obviously being based off Excitebike, and if you haven't noticed, it's a game about bikes. Safety wise, this course is actually safe, excluding the ramps and mud puddles. It's literally just one giant oval. I mean, what could possibly go wrong here? It's just a chill little course. So this is our first course going into literally impossible to die. While it's a pretty good and cool looking course, this is sadly one of those courses that flips you all the way around. And honestly kinda sucks that we have to put this in the dangerous pile because I love this course. It's definitely one of those ideas where you can tell Nintendo dipped all of their toes in. But still, it has to go into literally impossible to survive on. A course that's based off F-Zero is A-okay in my book. I mean, we haven't gotten anything new in the F-Zero games in 20 years at this point. So while this course isn't new anymore, it's still a pretty good and fun course, but it's extremely dangerous. For one, it's one of those courses that flips you all the way around again. And two, this section doesn't have any railings, and when you're going at lightning speed, you definitely do not want to fall off anywhere. While it's a pretty nice reference to F-Zero, it's a very dangerous course. So there it goes, and literally impossible to survive on. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I play this course for some reason, I think about Zelda. Probably because my brain gets Wild Woods and Lost Woods mixed up, but anyways. Taking place in a place called Wild Woods sounds pretty dangerous, right? What if I told you that the woods isn't actually the dangerous part? It's the gaps and waters. Near the beginning, there's this big gap that you have to glide across, and immediately following that, there's a section where you drive on basically a river. You can drive on the sides, but it's so narrow that you'll probably just end up on the water anyways. Then immediately following that, you drive on a pond with lily pads. So the dangerous part is not the wild animals that you would usually find in woods, but mostly the water. So this is going to have to go into literally impossible to survive on. This is an interesting course. Like the actual game Animal Crossing, it can switch seasons, but nothing really happens when the seasons change as far as assets. But the thing that makes this course kind of dangerous is this little puddle of water right here, and the big gap that you have to make right here. While the puddle of water is barely noticeable and we could probably go past it, this gap is definitely noticeable. But then again, the gap isn't that big, so could we really make it? So this course is going to have to go into maybe, but not entirely sure, because it's kind of confusing to me. Fun course though. While it's not as amazing as Mount Wario is, it's still a pretty fun, short, and chill course. No pun intended. But just like Mount Wario, this is being set in a pretty cold environment. In fact, it literally looks like we're in Antarctica. We're even right above a lake. So yeah, unless we layer up, I don't think we can survive this one. So it's going to be literally impossible to survive on. Only 3 more courses to go. So let's get on with it. We all should know what this is based on. And finally, this is one of those rare occasions where a course is actually safe. You're basically just taking a stroll through Hyrule, is what I would have said if this big gap that you have to take in order to get inside the castle is there. And plus the Deku Baba's in the way near the end is trying to eat you. That's kind of dangerous, don't you think? So this is going in, you may survive for like a minute or two. Taking place in the subway already sounds dangerous. A subway goes pretty fast for the tracks, even though in this game they move at turtle speed. You obviously would not want to be standing on the tracks when the subway is moving, so would you want to hold a kart race on it? And even though the subway station and karts is pretty dangerous itself, so this is going in literally impossible to survive on. And finally, we're at our last course, Big Blue. Yet another reference to F-Zero. Like, come on Nintendo, at this point, let's make another F-Zero game. And being another F-Zero course means it's very dangerous again. All the flips and turns and this giant gap immediately followed by water, it sounds pretty dangerous to me. So it's just like its companion Mute City, and for our final course, it's going in, do I really need to say it at this point? Literally impossible to survive on. But definitely one of my favorite courses in the game. Wow, if you're still here, thank you, because that was a lot to get through. So if you never knew how dangerous Mario Kart courses really are, well now you know. If you're still here, I appreciate you. And why not subscribe and hit that bell and check out some more videos of mine. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.